What's going on? It's Monday night. We got quarterback drama. We got upset stomachs. We got guys who like to get their jaw broken for talking shit. We don't know what's going on. But I tell you what we can do. We can talk about what we're going to do if they play and what we're going to do if they don't play. Because if you don't know, Showdown more than anything these days with content being so sharp is all about playing the game, all right? I know you're going to watch 7 shows today and they're all going to give you picks. And what you're going to realize is all that shit doesn't matter near as much as just playing the game. What's up, new guy? My name's James, better known as the Degenerate 75, a guy who is here to help you get a little bit better at DFS, because I am going to tell you a secret that nobody in this industry wants to know. This shit be tough, and most people lose at it, okay? If you want to get better at it, well, hang around. I'll help you with the process a little bit. And I'm not going to do it with a single pick or play. If you find you really like the cut of my jib, check out that schedule right there. I do this every Monday and Thursday at lunchtime. I do the Saturday night stream, 7 o'clock. That's in the Lord's time zone. Every Saturday night, breaking down the main slate. And I'll probably even do a little special for the 2-game slate this Saturday. So be looking out for that. Did it last week to great fanfare. So I'll probably just continue to do that. And do not forget, golf is almost back. And for all of you guys that have found me during football season, look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Play golf. I'm telling you, PGA DFS is the most fun sport. You're like, I don't know shit about golf. Bro, I didn't even know who fucking Jordan Spieth was 8 years ago, and now PGA DFS is my life. I'm just telling you, give it a try. Give it a try. The donkeys get punished so much more at golf than they do at NFL. Let me turn on the Fat Kid fan. Let's get going. For every 50 likes we get over here, I will be drawing to build a lineup with me tonight in the Half a Millionaire Maker. I'll split it with you 50-50. Word to God. So, by the way, Rob Jack sponsoring this because I got a lot of people in my community that win, and they want to give me money. And I'm like, I don't want your money. Why don't you just sponsor a giveaway? And they do it. So thank you, Rob Jack. Let's do this. Let's talk contest selection tonight. And let's see. Anything? What is this 4-point stance? What is this one? I don't recognize. Is this a normal one they have up? To see, like this one, this could be so good if they would just make it 25% to first, or excuse me, 20% to first, as opposed to 25%. You see how like whenever you do 25% to first, because it's a $200,000 prize pool, $50,000 to first, but then look what that does to the rest of the top 10. See how second is now only 40% of first, as opposed to half or more, which is ideal. See how 10th place is now 2,000. That's only 125th. We want that to be closer to 110. And if you would just make this a $250,000 prize pool, you can easily do this. This is why I always try to say I don't like to play in tournaments where first place is more than 20%. Is there any other good ones? What's the 150 tonight? Yeah, see, this is what I'm talking about right here. The 153 max, 10,000 out of 50, so that's 20%. Second place is 60% of first, and 10th place is, what is that, 113th. So pretty damn close, Bob. Pretty close. Of course, the single entries are always going to be great. $100 single entry. $5 single entry, $15 single entry, whatever your buy-in level is, that's just so much more sustainable. And you're like, man, I never hit a big one on those single entries. Well, you got to do the math, right? You're only playing one fucking lineup. So at best, you should only expect to probably hit 10 or 50x, maybe once a year, and something like 100 to 1,000x maybe once every 4 or 5 years, right? You got to remember that. The reason you play single entry is not because there's a bigger chance you're going to hit big more often. It's simply just because you're going to have good sweats more often and get your money back or double it up more often. That's why you play in those well-structured contests. But look, you don't know about contest selection now. I don't know what to tell you. Hey, I hope you've been keeping up with the prop picks. We went 3 for 3 Saturday. We went 2 for 3 Sunday. Let's see if we can keep the heater going. And I want to tell you about prop picks, right? The great thing about prop picks that I don't think people talk enough about is the correlation aspect of them, right? Often when one thing happens, that means the other thing is happening, right? So, good example, like right here, you see we have Jalen Hurts and we have DeAndre Swift on there. Those two prop picks are correlated to each other, right? We'll just start down there. Tyler Lockett, you await your turn, you Kansas State Wildcat. No one even likes you. All right, Jalen Hurts. We're going to project that he's playing tonight, right? I highly doubt Jalen Hurts. The guy's kind of tough, right? I don't like Jalen Hurts. When he was at OU, I kind of thought he was a douchebag, but I'll tell you this. The guy ain't no bitch, all right? And I think he plays tonight, and I think you're going to see a pretty conservative Eagles attack tonight, especially if Geno's going to be out. Drew Lock will probably throw 2 pick sixes right there. So Jalen Hurts under 22.5 completions, right? I would be shocked if he even throws the ball 30 times tonight, and if he does, now you're expecting him to complete complete over 75% of those. That's a lot, Bob. So we're going to take the under on Jalen Hurts completions. Correlated to that, the Seahawks have been hot garbage against running backs recently, right? They have been getting shredded. And DeAndre Swift, if this is, once again, this is the correlation narrative we're going with. If you think it's going to be a different narrative, then place your own prop picks based on that. But these are based on our projections and how we think the game flow is most likely to go, right? With DeAndre Swift, taking the over on 59.5 rushing yards. If Hurts is not going to be throwing the ball as much, they are probably going to be running the ball. They're probably going to be playing from ahead, especially if Drew Lock is the quarterback. So I'll take the over on DeAndre Swift's rushing yards. He is still the lead back. I know Gainwell is kind of a pain in the ass, but like he's still going to be leading that backfield. And honestly, DeAndre Swift's looked kind of good this year, and the Eagles can kind of like, run the ball. Lastly, Tyler Lockett over 4.5 receptions. I feel like people just think this guy's fallen off the face of the earth and that he is, Dunsky, JSN is now the new second wide receiver. DK Metcalf is still the big guy, but Tyler Lockett is still the number 2 wide receiver on this team. And in a game script where they're going to be getting behind, I think you are going to see a lot more passes to him. Lock may suck, but because he sucks, there's a good chance they're going to be in a script where they're going to be passing the ball 40 times tonight. If they pass the ball 40 times tonight, I bet Tyler Lockett gets at least 8 of those targets, and I would expect him to convert that into over 4.5 receptions. That's what we're taking tonight. There's our prop picks. Let's look at the weather. If you haven't seen, the big guy has a weather guy now. And we are putting this out. We're using the latest fancy projections, not fucking Windfinder slapdicks, okay? We're using the good ones. And no surprise, the game is in Seattle. In Seattle, if you don't know, it tends to rain on and off. That's basically what it does. You don't even need the Weather Channel in Seattle. You just know every day it's going to be like kind of cold and it's going to be raining on and off. There you go. That's the weather every day, okay? How's that going to affect conditions tonight? I think it's going to be pretty negligible. You can see up here, I think the wet field conditions, stuff like that, is going to be negligible, both in the passing and in the receiving. So I don't think that there's a huge reason to be like, well, I can't play Drew Lock because it's going to be rainy out there. Bro, it ain't going to be that bad. That's going to affect the passing game. I'm not thinking that you need to load up on tight ends and running backs and defenses because of these conditions. I actually think for Seattle, this is actually pretty good, right? Very little wind and light rain on and off, right? So that's just called Seattle. The fact that the winds are down probably makes me even like the passing game a bit more. All right, let's get over to the Rosetta Stone. This is what I offer all my members over at DGen75.com. And if you want to know, we have the fancy one over there that's all colored up, that has the ownership and the high upside, the cash consideration, status update, if they're leveraged, what they are in the optimizer, points per dollar, flex projections, ceiling projections, and then their actual projections if you want to use it for prop picks, right? But, this is the YouTube. I'm a poor version, so you're going to take the black and white one and you're going to like it, pal. Before we jump into all the injury news and everything, we're going to talk about the big 3 things that really will determine you will get so much more success if you just remember these 3 things to focus on instead of your picks, right? Like, you're going to watch a show today and somebody's going to be like, Dallas Goedert for all the money. And he may do great, right? But it's not going to be because that fucking clown said that. It's just going to be because that's how the game played out, right? So, look, having picks and plays and having a feeling about a guy is one thing. But it should be 4th on your list of things you're considering. What you should really be considering, number 1, is just simply the game script and the game flow, right? The line has been cratering. The over-under on this line has been coming down. So people are betting the under on this game, which would lead us to believe that the most likely script is going to be a moderate scoring game to maybe even a slog. And in games like that, defenses, running backs, tight ends like that tend to outpace quarterbacks and expensive wide receivers. That's how it tends to be. So just thinking of the kind of game script you think it's going to be. Maybe you think Philadelphia is going to win this game 28-3 and have 2 defensive touchdowns. Well, if that's the case, then I am definitely trying to go 5-1 Eagles Bills, and I'm probably either putting like Swift, Hurts, or the Eagles defense at captain, and then I'm rotating in a bunch of other guys playing one alpha receiver, and then just playing they beat the shit out of Seattle, right? Thinking about how you think the game's going to play out, the game script, the game narrative is so much more important than, you should play old Zucchini at wide receiver. The second thing you got to be giving a lot of consideration to is just your roster composition. If you go look at high dollar contests, you would not believe almost everybody just plays 3 and 3, meaning 3 from one team, 3 from the other. And it's just such a safe baby, it's just soft. It's just soft, bro. Baby shit soft. And if you're willing to get out of your comfort zone, simply playing Like, if you think Seattle's going to win tonight or play well, playing a 4-2 Seattle build, regardless of who your 6 players are, just playing 4 Seattle Seahawks and 2 Eagles will have you vastly different than most people in how they build lineups tonight. You're not doing it with the sneaky play who got 3 extra routes last week. You're doing it simply by just constructing your roster different. And doing these 4-2s, these 5-1 builds, this is how you can get supremely different without having to play frickin' Jack Stoll, right? Or Jack stole your money, as some people like to call him, all right? And then the third one, and anytime Devontae Smith is on a slate, this is going to be real high on my list, okay? It is picking leveraged captains. Who are guys that can have the funny thing is, the 2 last times I've said this, specific examples I gave, I said, if you want a high leverage guy at captain tonight that no one's going to play, I said it about DK that night that he had like 4,000 points. What was that, against the Cowboys, right? Okay, it was like, just play him as a high leverage captain. And the time before that, I said it was Devonta Smith going ape shit, right? When he caught the ball at the 1 and then couldn't fall into the end zone to win me the $100 single entry. I'm over it. I'm kind of over it, all right? So, picking these high upside guys, right? These guys that can break the slate as a captain, right? Like guys that I would never play at captain would be a guy like Zucchini or Quez Watkins or Charbonnet. These guys just don't usually have the big enough upside, and those guys are all going to be moderately owned simply just because of their price tag. But guys like A.J. Brown, who, depending on where ownership comes in tonight, he's probably going to be popular. But a dude like Devonta Smith is not going to be very popular at the captain, and he can break a slate. We've seen it before. A guy like Tyler Lockett, he might be popular at captain. This is why you got to have good ownership projections. But if he's not, he's a guy that can break a slate, and you could have him as a 3% owned captain. DK Metcalf, probably going to be higher owned tonight at captain, right? But you need to be able to identify who are these guys that are these high upside leverage captains. And typically speaking, I would say, Lockett, Metcalf, and Devontae are the 3 guys that stick out to me, right? If you're like, I'm going to play Jalen Hurts at captain, nobody will think of that, bro. Jalen Hurts can be like 20% owned at captain, even with his upset tummy, okay? So those are the 3 things you can do right there to get different. All right, let's talk about these injuries. Let's talk about this slate, and then let's answer some questions. You mother fathers. First up, we are projecting Jalen Hurts is going to play. I've already said it before. I don't think Jalen Hurts is a huge bitch. I think he's going to be able to get through this. It's not a physical ailment per se. So I think Jalen Hurts is going to play. The Eagles have so much to play for, especially with the Cowboys losing yesterday. This is a very, very important game for the Eagles to go win. I think Jalen Hurts is going to play. Might we see him run the ball a little bit less? I don't know. I feel like if they're going to play him, they're going to fucking play him. I would, if anything, the only thing that I think hurts Jalen Hurts tonight is a game script. If Philadelphia gets ahead, I think you're going to see a very, very conservative, boring game script from Philadelphia, and they're just going to run the ball down Seattle's throat if they get up early, right? Yes, J.E. Zucchini is Zacchaeus. That's old Zucchini. Old Zucchini, right? No one can say his last name, so we're just going to call him Olamide Zucchini. At running back, I've already told you, they got 3 guys that are getting the ball, but I still think DeAndre Swift is clearly the leader of this backfield. I would expect him to get somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 20 touches tonight, rushing the ball, and probably 2 to 3 targets, which is a huge volume for a guy that's only $8,000. Problem is, I don't think I'm the only one that's going to realize this. I would imagine DeAndre Swift is going to be wildly popular tonight. I think Kenneth Gainwell is a very interesting pivot off of him. I think you might even be able to get away with playing these 2 guys together, and that's a way you can play DeAndre Swift and still be different. If you think this game shoots out, or maybe the Eagles get behind, I think Kenneth Gainwell might actually be a better play than DeAndre Swift, weirdly enough, simply because of the leverage and the better game script. At wide receiver, how many times am I going to say this? Philadelphia throws the ball to 2 guys. They throw it to AJ and they throw it to Devonta. That's it, right? Outside of that, yes, there's Zucchini, Quez Watkins, Julio. I will say, of those 3 guys, it would feel like Zucchini probably has the best chance of catching a long touchdown. But, at some point, you're just getting too cute with these guys. So many people are going to build a lineup tonight being like, I've got a feeling about Quez. He'll be, I would guess, 10 to 11% owned, and, he won't do shit. Right? He won't. Now, if you're playing in the big millionaire maker and you need that low-owned option that can catch a touchdown, sure. Play Zucchini, play Quez, play Julio, right? But this is what I'm telling you. If you would just construct your roster different, you don't have to get caught up in playing these silly punts. You can simply just construct your roster in a way that not everybody else builds. Dallas Goedert, to me, seems like a dude that, Me likey, right? Dallas Goedert's going to be chalky tonight. I think that even if Jalen Hurts is throwing the ball fewer times, I don't even think that really hurts Dallas Goedert that much. I think he's a guy that's still going to see somewhere in the neighborhood of 7 to 8 targets and at a ridiculously cheap $6,200 with his red zone equity. I think he's a guy that could still get there. If I see he's going to be like 40% owned, I'm never playing a 40% owned tight end on Showdown outside of like 3 guys. But he's interesting. Jack could always stole a touchdown, so you got to be aware of that. And then Jake Elliott and the Eagles defense, if you think Philadelphia is going to dominate this game, when one team blows out the other, kickers and defenses are almost always a part of those winning lineups. Not always both of them, but at least one of them, right? So if you think Philadelphia is going to win this game 28-6, you are almost certainly going to want to have the Eagles defense as a part of that because they're almost going to assuredly get you 10 to 15 points in that game script, right? Moving over to Seattle, Drew Lock, we are going to project as the starter. I think Geno's going to be out. The recent news says he is trending towards being out, so I don't think I'm breaking any big news here. Drew Lock, I'll tell you this. Drew Lock has some YOLO in him, right? I think he would be number 2 on my list, only behind Jameis Winston's of guys who don't give a shite, okay? And if Drew Lock's going to go out there and pass it around, I think a really nice game script you could go with is just go with a shootout one, right? 28-27, Drew Lock goes for 330 yards and 2 touchdowns, right? And in that one, he's going to get there, and he's almost certainly going to take 2 pass catchers there with him, right? Look, there's a very good chance Philadelphia is just going to put the clamps on him. Drew Lock could throw a pick 6 or 2 early, and this game could get out of hand. Or maybe he's those, instead of them being interceptions, they're 80-yard touchdowns to Lockett or to DK Metcalf, and then all of a sudden we're off to the races, right? I think Drew Lock is going to be notoriously under-owned. People think that he is no Geno Smith, which is hilarious because Geno Smith ain't even that good. I will tell you this. Drew Lock there's good Drew Lock and there's bad Drew Lock, okay? And if he can be a guy that I think you could even play with the Eagles defense because he might throw for 330 yards and 2 touchdowns and still throw a pick 6 or 2, right? That's what Drew Lock could get you. So I would not be afraid to play Drew Lock if it fits your narrative. If you think Seattle is going to have a pulse tonight, they're going to be passing the ball, they're going to be aggressive, or they're going to be playing from behind and coming back into this game into the third and fourth quarter, I think Drew Lock could definitely get there. But just know he has about a 4-point floor. All right, that's what that guy offers. Right, he could definitely throw for no touchdowns, 150 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's got that kind of upside. All right, moving over to wide receiver. Running back Kenneth Walker, Charbonnet. They're going to be splitting the backfield. Yes, Kenneth Walker's probably going to be leading, and I think at 7,800, if you think Seattle's going to get ahead or control this game, I think Kenneth Walker becomes a smash play. But you really got to ask yourself, like, how frequently is Seattle going to get ahead and really be controlling this game? Plus, Charbonnet has, he has a nice role cut out for himself now, right? Like, this isn't Kenneth Walker 80% of the time like it was at some points in this season. Definitely not punting with DJ Dallas or anything like that. I'm playing those top 2 running backs. That's all I'm at, Bob. At wide receiver, we've already talked about this. Metcalf is priced appropriate at 9,600. He has really come to life, and I think a lot of people might be scared off of him simply because of the Drew Lock news if he's starting. But matter of fact, I don't think that matters. I think Drew Lock realized who butters the bread, and I think he is still going to throw the ball 40 times. And if he does, well, give me the best athlete on the field, DK Metcalf, right? Him and A.J. Brown, probably the 2 freakiest wide receivers in the NFL. Tyler Lockett at 6,600 is just laughably too cheap. People think, that old JSN has passed him. Tyler Lockett is still the number 2 wide receiver in this game. Matter of fact, when you have Drew Lock coming in there, I think you could see Tyler Lockett even get an increase in targets. JSN is a fine play, but he's finally getting priced up to where he should be. $5,600 for a third wide receiver who's only on the field 65% of the time. Not the greatest value. And don't forget, Jake Bobo kind of doesn't suck either. As always, whenever I play Seattle, the one position I'm always willing to play a punt at is their tight end. How many times have you seen like a 30-yard Disley touchdown or a 25-yard Fant touchdown, or hell, even Colby Parkinson gets those 2-yard touchdowns, and all of a sudden those guys break the slate, right? Seattle tight ends are the one place where if I'm ever going to go dumpster diving for a $200 guy, or in Noah Fant's case, a $2,600 guy, tight end is the spot that I like to do it, because those random slapdick tight ends get there for Seattle more than any team. This I swear. And then lastly, Jason Myers and the Seahawks defense and the right scripts, they're great. I will say, if you think the Eagles are going to be running the ball and playing conservatively, I think that's a huge dock to the Seahawks defense. You basically are getting into a script where you're going to need like a blocked punt or a fumble return to the house, and those are very, very low percentages of happening, right? So there you go. That is a quick rundown. Once again, we're projecting Jalen Hurts is going to play, and we are projecting that Geno Smith's going to be out. Everybody else is relatively healthy, right? This should be a decent game. I will tell you, I've noticed that the total on this game has dropped about 2.5 points since we last had this updated. So be watching that. I think Vegas is telling us pretty clearly that they are thinking that one, if not both of these quarterbacks are going to be out, and you have to adjust accordingly. If Jalen Hurts is out, I think you give a huge dock to the entire Philadelphia passing game, and I think you're going to see a very run-heavy Eagles tonight. But I cannot imagine he is going to be out, right? So there you go. Let's get to some questions. Hit that like button. I see 134 people, only 64 likes. That means we have at least 70 slappies in here. At least 70 slappies. Hey, new guy, come check out my website. The year's almost over. You're going to want to check this out. There has to be a place where you can get everything you need for DFS, right? There has to points, projections, ownership, the Rosetta Stone, everything you need, and you're not paying $100, $200 a month, right? So many of you guys are playing DFS, and you might even be breaking even or winning $100 this season, and you're still losing because you pay so much for your DFS sites. There's got to be a place that has the things you need to compete at a fair price. Our prices are ridiculously cheap compared to the other ones. $35 for football, and that's not just NFL, that's also college. And if you don't know about college football during this time of year, bowl season, it is a print fest. Big shout out to all of our winners. Guys just winning 20,000, 20,000, 20,000, 4,000, 4,000, 20,000, 2,000. All kinds of guys. You love to see it. Big shout out to all of our winners. New collage coming tomorrow. And don't forget, I have this beautiful thing called the Rosetta Stone. To all of my members, it's the last day to go fill out this survey. I'm giving away $5,000 to all my members over on the website. I dearly value your opinions. Go get that done. Editor, I see 77 likes. Go ahead and draw us one name. And while he does that, if we get to 100 likes, we will draw a second one. And do not forget, at the top of the hour, go check out my dudes over at Ship It. That is going to be Title, Hoop, and Tambo breaking down the Monday Night Football slate. I promise you, they will not just say the same things I will. They will have plenty of stuff that I did not cover. So go watch their show. Hell, you're at work. You're not doing shit. So go enjoy a good show. They have a good one. All right, getting back over to the Stone, the editor's drawing. I'm going to answer questions, but not before I polish off this cold brew. Cold brew at 12:21. We're going to have us a night. Oh, that's good. That smacks. That smacks. All right. It looks like, oh, that's a new name. Carlitos 2012 has won. All right, let's go, Carlitos. Carlitos Way, I believe, is a movie about that guy winning this drawing. Hey, new guy. Texas over Washington. Boo. Texas sucks balls. All right, let's answer some questions. See if you guys can get me up to 100 likes. Do you like defenses tonight? I like defenses in the right narrative. If you think Philadelphia is going to maybe get ahead, I think that I would love the Eagles defense. If maybe Jalen Hurts does end up being out, that I think you give a big bump to Seattle's defense. Do you think Swift gets a good workload tonight? I do like Swift, but I will tell you, Tweezy, I don't think I'm the only one who's going to realize that DeAndre Swift is kind of in a pretty good spot here at $8,000. Looks like a prime or he could situation tonight off Hurts if Hurts is out. Yeah, I mean, if Jalen Hurts is out, I feel like this whole slate is turned on its head because now all of a sudden, if both these teams are playing with their backup quarterbacks, I think I like a big Seattle lean in this game, right? If I get word that Jalen Hurts is out, I'm almost certainly going to be contrarian and be going 4-2 Seattle or 5-1 Seattle because I just really think Jalen Hurts is the straw that stirs that drink, motherfathers. Will Hurts hurt us tonight? Only if you let him, Nick. Only if you let him. All right, let's see. Moving on. All right, the Showdown Hoedown. Do you think losing Darius Slay? Hey, look at this guy. He won. Help Lockett, Metcalf, Najigba. Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, Slay is legit a good quarterback or cornerback. And I think, and he dropped a boomer. Good thing this guy won. Let's go. Yeah, definitely. There's not a lot of guys that I overreact to when defenses are out, but legit top 10 cornerbacks in the NFL, that does help. Lock Drew in lineups. I don't mind it. I'll tell you right now, I'm warmer to Drew Lock than other people, but I am fully ready for 6.2 points tonight from Drew Lock. I am ready for it, Ricardo. Thoughts on kickers tonight? I think that this could be a game, especially if both quarterbacks are meh. I think you could see these guys moving the ball between the 20s and then settling for a lot of field goals. A 16-13 game could definitely be on there. Wouldn't be opposed to it. With weather concerns, does that make you downgrade kicker? No, Mike. I don't think this weather right here, this doesn't have me concerned at all. Very little wind and negligible rain. I'm not worried about kickers. Matter of fact, I think that this is about as good as you'll ever see kickers conditions in Seattle. All right, DJ, how are we narrowing down captain options on DK single entry? Well, I think, to me, an interesting one is I think that there's like quite a bit of good options on this slate for captain, right? If you're just looking for high upside guys that could break the slate that are going to be low owned at captain, I think Drew Lock, Kenneth Walker, Tyler Lockett, Devonta Smith, all off the top of my head, I think are going to all be very low owned at the captain versus the upside that they offer you. Did the big guy advance any best ball teams? Man, I finished second. It sucked. I had a good day. I just needed CD and Dak together to get me like 30 points. It's like, oh, piece of cake. And they're like, no. We're going to get you like 4 points because we're ass clowns. Can I honestly say your advice has been beneficial for me this year? Hey, I'm glad to hear that, Kyle Burkett. What's up, Slapdicks? You're a slapdick. All right, moving on. Jerry, thoughts on running no QB in lineups tonight, especially if both backups start? Yeah, I think no QBs is always a way to get different. I think that you really kind of going to have to get into a pretty sloggy game for neither quarterback to get there. So that would be my only concern with that. But I think very viable, right? Drew Lock is always up for being faded. If I see Drew Lock's going to be chalky, I'm going to fade him. If I see that he's not going to be owned enough, I'm going to play him. That's just who Drew Lock is, okay? Jalen Hurts, on the other hand, if he's out, I think I'd be pretty confident fading Eagles backup quarterback. Do you think clicked on the wrong button. Do you think a little Hurts, they look like they run the ball more and maybe dump off more to Goddard? Yeah, I buy that narrative, Alec. I already said that one. Which side is your favorite tonight? I don't know. I mean, my favorite's always the underdog, so I guess Seattle. But it's not a hot take. It's just the leverage game, right? Philadelphia will be owned probably about 60% cumulative ownership. Seattle will probably be about 40%. Yet I bet Seattle is legit like 47% to win this game, right? So if 47% of the time they're going to win this game, well, then that's good enough for me to just go play the leverage game, right? Thanks for the tips and process. Hey, thanks for being here, Matthew. 91 likes. I got 91 likes, and 47 of you ain't one of them. How do you feel about playing this game? Normal shootout, except with 2 backup QBs possibly. Like nothing changes. Yeah, I mean, look, if it's both backup quarterbacks, maybe you just lean even harder into the, not even a shootout, just a competitive 24-21 game. And in games like that, both quarterbacks could get there, especially if they're going to come in lower owned. If backups start, will likely be lower owned. Yeah, that's what I was just saying, Bill. 5-1 Seattle for all the money. Look, if Jalen Hurts is out, I'm warm to that. I really am. If Jalen Hurts is out, I'm afraid that the Eagles suck balls. That's my take. Are you excited? Or at least let me rephrase that, Luke. They could suck. Are you excited for the holidays? Does a bear shit in the woods? Even if Locke plays for Seattle, the pass offense could still get there. Decent narrative points because the Eagles' pass defense is really bad. Yeah, don't mind it. Panic Seller. Does this qualify as a question? No. I wish you would have won, so I could have took it away from you. Can you feel giddy about Swift at captain? I need to see the projections on what his ownership is, but something tells me is he is going to be wildly popular. It wouldn't surprise me if he's the highest owned captain tonight, which is so weird to say. Which would make me swiftly want to get off of him. Thank you. All right, lock it at captain. Don't mind it. I wouldn't lock it in, but man, I've got a lot of puns tonight. Let's go. But I don't mind it, Cooper. Matt Behringer, 4-2 Seattle. That's what my initial instinct feels like, Matthew. What's the big guy's thoughts on multiplier contests? I think they're pretty negative EV, right? Because at least the way I build my lineups, I find myself often scoring way up near the top or not even sniffing it, right? So just getting 3x my money in a multiplier, I don't love it. If I'm going to play a multiplier, I'd rather just play a double up because sometimes I will just beat 50% of the field. So I'd rather just play double ups as opposed to those 3, 4, 5, 10x multipliers. That's just me. If you find they work for you, do them. But I have played them, and I just find that they don't fit well with how my lineups tend to perform, which is usually very near the top or very near the bottom. That's where my lineups tend to perform. Question 2. Who is the Philadelphia captain, not a receiver, that could be a 1 in a 5-1 build? So if you're going 5-1, you want to run one Seattle guy back. I think A.J. Brown or Dallas Goedert, they could be usage monsters tonight, right? Yeah, don't forget, when I say zucchini, that's Olamata Zucchini. All right, in a 20 entry, would you recommend 2 captains for 10 variations? I would probably be 2 to 3 captains, Dafu. That's where I'd be. When I do 20 lineups, I'm almost at 2 to 3 captains, usually built around 2 different narratives, right? 5-1 stack for the win. Eagles 5-1 stack. Yeah, I think, this is one of the few times I don't think 5-1 Eagles is going to be very popular, right? So I think that could definitely be a way. I would bet probably only about 5 to 8% of lineups will build 5-1 Eagles tonight. Yep. All right. Chris says, your thoughts on a massive price difference between Walker and Charbonnet? Yeah, the gap is too big versus what their role is. Walker should not be nearly twice the price because Charbonnet gets more targets out of the backfield. And let's face it, your real points from running back do not come from him running up the guard's ass for 2 yards every play, right? The real points from running backs come from targets out of the backfield, and Charbonnet gets more of those, right? If he just gets 4 catches for 30 yards, that's the same as Kenneth Walker getting 70 yards rushing, right? That's the same thing, and people don't understand that. How about Baker on Sunday? Cleaned up this weekend because of him. Thanks. He's my new favorite player. Hey, he went to OU. You know he's good if he went to OU, okay? Okay. Lockett, and Lock. Yeah, I mean, that's quite the narrative. Quite the narrative. Let's see. What's a narrative that Kenneth Walker captain lineup? I think it's simple. I think Seattle gets up early. Maybe I think if I play Kenneth Walker, I'm probably playing Seattle's defense. Maybe you get a punt return early, maybe a pick 6 or something like that. Now all of a sudden Seattle's up. It's it's 10-0 in the second quarter, and they're just running the ball 45 times this game, and he gets 22 carries. Hopefully he gets a rushing touchdown, 100 yards rushing bonus. That's kind of where I would want to have Kenneth Walker as my captain. Marcus, with both running backs getting different tonight. I don't what Marcus. I don't know what the fuck does that mean. I think you could play both running backs for either team. If you think either of these teams are going to get ahead, I think that's a sneaky way to play running backs. Don't just play Swift and Gainwell together. If you think Seattle's going to get ahead, don't just play Walker and Charbonnet together. I think that this could be that kind of game, especially if we have 2 backup quarterbacks. What score would you project in a Seattle victory? If Seattle wins this game, I mean, I could see him winning, 20. If Hurts is out, they could win 21-10. If Hurts is in, they could win 23-21 or something like that, right? Hey, new guy, Texas over Washington. So gross. Sounds like the cold brew's on ice today. Yeah, I was drinking on it. See, I drink out of the big bottles here, Nate, right? But, once you've been drinking on it for an hour, it starts to get a little lukewarm. Who the hell wants lukewarm cold brew? So you pour that shit over some ice, you motherfather. Yeah, I got fat kid secrets all day long. Editor, I see 101 likes. Draw me another name, editor. I'm getting to the bottom of this chat, too. Does it feel like the year of the backup quarterbacks? It definitely does. I can't remember a year so many quarterbacks have went down. How common do you think a no QB will be tonight? If Hurts is out, I think it will be very common. Okay. If Hurts plays, I think that maybe 30% of lineups will go with no quarterbacks. Let's go, Carlito. Alan, with the rain forecast for the game tonight, how much do you think the running game? First of all, it always rains in Seattle, and I would never count on Seattle's rain to come through like you think it will. But to me, what will affect the running game more than the weather is just simply if these quarterbacks are playing like dog shit, right? Is Geno out? Not officially, but we are thinking he will be. Which Seattle team is the real Seattle? Last time we saw him standalone shootout? But I don't think that's them, Pentrini. If Hurts is out, can the guy in the back fill in? No, he is out till Wednesday. Yeah, definitely out. No love for Mariota if Jalen's out. No. I just think Mariota blows donkey dick. I'm sorry. He could get there, but just not for me, Bob. Let's see. Drew Lock. Drew is a lock. Wow, you guys are coming in strong with the puns. Behef. Don't recognize that name. Your recommendation on contest selection has changed my DFS experience. Hey, I don't know you and I already like you, Behef. DFS is so much more fun playing single entries at $12 to $27. Hey, I don't get on here and tell you guys shit out of just talking out of my ass. I've literally been doing this for 9 years, and I know all these things because I got kicked in the dick for multiple years before I quit being a dipshit and learned these things, right? Contest selection, playing the game, bankroll management. I learned it all, and I learned it through the school of hard knocks. I'm not one of those people like these fucking touts to get on there and be like, ever since I started playing from day one, I was a winner. Bull fucking shit. I've learned through the school of hard knocks. Been doing it a long time. Try to pass that along because if a guy like me starts playing DFS right now, I want him to find this content now and not have to put in the 4 years of getting kicked in the dick. Is tonight a leave some salary on the table kind of night? Yeah, I think so. I built some lineups earlier, and especially if there's a punt that you like for whatever. God bless you if you like Will Disley or whatever. It's real easy to leave some money on the table. Or if you like some of these punt guys at captain, right? Charbonnet at captain, you're going to be able to, it would be real easy to leave money on the table. Matthew Bowinger with the win. Big win for the good guys. Big win. I was kind of hoping it was going to be Behef, but you know what? We're incredible men of integrity around here. There is no cheating. You should know that. We've let Nick win before. If there was cheating, I would never let that motherfather win. I'm kidding. I love Nick. All right. Is Gainwell sneaky tonight with a possible increase of carries? Yeah, I once again, this Philadelphia running backs, I think they're going to be popular. I think Swift is going to be the most popular, so maybe Gainwell is a good pivot off of him or a good pivot with him. Ooh. All right, how often should I be playing 1,500? Look, this is what I'll tell you to this. I call those medium-sized fields. I have found my bread and butter is medium-sized fields. I don't do really well in super small fields. I don't do really well in super large fields. That 1,000 to 5,000 is my bread and butter. You should go look at your results. If you haven't been tracking your results, you should. And you should look at where you're finding the most success, and that is where you should play. That's all I can tell you, because every person's different. Some people build lineups that do better in the lottery. Some guys do better making little single entries with 500 people at them. I don't know your results, so I can't give you an answer to that. How often do you ever correlate punt/kickoff returners? Yeah, so in a sloggy type game, I don't mind it, right? One kickoff return, one punt return. I don't mind it at all, Bob. Don't mind it. Usually, though, I want that returner to be electric, right? I don't want the guy who just fucking fair catches it every time. Do you think 3-3 or 4-2 Eagles wide receiver captain sound good? Yeah, but I will tell you, that will be the most popular build, Eric. That would be my only concern with that. But if that's what you feel like, then go with it. Maybe just leave a few bucks on the table so you're not duped 47 times. Does Swift in the defense or the kicker correlate better? I think Swift in the defense correlate better, right? Because if Swift's getting down there, we probably need him running in at least one touchdown, right? And if he's running in one touchdown, well, that's one less field goal opportunity for the kicker. Whereas the defense is now likely to be in a good script where Drew Lock is passing. When Drew Lock is passing from behind, the Eagles defense pin their ears back. You're going to see sacks and fumbles and interceptions, and maybe if you get lucky, a pick six. Jean Farjaro. I don't even know if I said it right, but it sounded good. Can you eat the Swift Captain Shock in a 4-2 Seattle build? Probably, but you would really need Swift to kind of be the usage monster, right? And I think you want to be strategic about probably grabbing one Philadelphia pass catcher as your second guy in that one, right? Whoever you think's going to get the 200 or so passing yards that they're going to have, right? Like Devontae, AJ, Goddard would be the three most obvious, right? Have you tried in game Showdown on DK? What a kick. Finished fourth last night because I faded Ridley. Have you tried in Oh, no, I haven't, Crypto. I get so busy. I just don't got time to try new shit. And the crazy thing is DK has a lot of fun stuff. They have that super flex. They have that pick six. They have tiers. I like all those things. I just don't ever get to it, bro. I just don't ever get to it. All right, All Sports Junkie said, I already answered his question. Might have won. All right, that ain't a question. I don't give a shit. All right, guys, hey, I appreciate you being here. Do not forget to go check out my dudes over at Ship It at the top of the hour. All my members, go fill out the freaking survey. It's the last day. I just want to serve you. Imagine a DFS site that doesn't price gouge you and cares about customer service. What a fucking novel concept. All right, guys, it's been real. Don't forget, go check out DGen75. We will see you again Thursday for Thursday Night Football. Thank you for being here. It's been real. It's been fun. But I need you to enjoy this outro.